Captain Marvel crushes at the box office. We're going to break down how much money was made and what it means for the future of the movie and the MCU. Plus, there's a bunch of new details coming out about that footage that was shown to shareholders of Avengers Endgame last week. Stay up to date about the nerdy things that you care about. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next episode. Today's shout out goes to Ross Blake. Yes, indeed, Trevor Slattery was the real name of the character that Ben Kingsley played in Iron Man 3. We will do another nerd card question at the end of this video. Woo! What's up, everybody? Happy Monday to you. I'm, of course, Josh. This is the Den of Nerds. And just real quick before we get into the news, I want to say thank you to everybody that responded to the post I made on Twitter in the community tab here on YouTube last week. It wasn't the best week for me or for content here on the channel. I'm definitely going to improve that moving forward. So thanks for understanding and thanks for your support. Now, guys, when it comes to the opening weekend of Captain Marvel, I really don't know any other way to describe this than just incredibly successful. I know a lot of speculation was going into this. There was seemingly movements of people trying to hurt this film by either, bombing its review stuff or telling people to boycott on their YouTube channels or whatever. And at the end of the day, Captain Marvel absolutely annihilated it at the box office. The film took in $153 million domestically and added another $302 million from different marketplaces around the globe. That put its grand total at a global box office at $455 million, which is just ridiculous. The movie also has a cinema score of A, and that means a lot of people that are exiting the movie are really enjoying it. They're super hype on it, which means the word of mouth for the film is likely to be pretty good. Also, just to note, cinema score is actually a pretty good metric for how people are actually feeling as they leave the movie. People are actually on site polling people, and so it's a pretty trustable source. People are really liking this movie for the most part when they leave it. Now, I think this incredible, successful weekend means a couple of different things. I mean, number one, the branding and the trust in the MCU is just at an all-time high. A lot of people talk about like comic book movie fatigue or Marvel movie fatigue, and that just isn't a real thing. I mean, the numbers just simply don't lie. Audiences around the world are going out to see these Marvel movies. They have an expectation to be entertained and have a good time, and they're continually rewarded with such experiences. And so, man, it's just crazy. Like, Marvel's just on a roll. They're about to do another sort of Black Panther back-to-back with Infinity War type of thing with Captain Marvel and Endgame. It also means that the marketing for the movie was just completely successful. Now, I was very critical of the early trailers, and I actually don't like how much of the movie was shown in the trailers themselves. I wish Hollywood would stop doing that. But at the end of the day, the job of the marketing team is to get butts into seats, and they completely succeeded in that regard. So kudos to the marketing team. I think it's also obvious that this culture war was just totally ignored by most audience members. And a lot of us were saying that online anyways. It's like, look, I know people want to make this a big thing, and there are people that are upset about it for sure, but it just doesn't seem like something that casual audience members are going to give a crap about. Like I said, the branding is just too strong for the MCU. Like, even people that maybe had an issue with it were likely to check it out just to see where it fit into the MCU and how it set up Avengers Endgame. I think it's absolutely fair to say that a lot of female audience members that perhaps never went to a Marvel movie before did go to this movie on its opening weekend. I'm imagining a lot of male MCU fans that were bringing their girlfriends, perhaps bringing their daughters or their moms or even grandmas. I mean, like, just to be real, like, as a male fan, there are a lot of females in my life that I wish maybe watched some more of the cool Marvel movies that I do, just so I could talk to them about it and nerd out together. And, when you have your first female-led Marvel movie, that's the perfect excuse to get these females in your life to come check out this movie. Now, the next question is going to be, how does this movie do in the long term? Does it have legs? Is it going to crack $1 billion? And I think we're just going to have to wait and see until weekend number 2. And once we see the drop off from that, we can get a pretty good idea of where the movie will land overall. Now, I stand by my original comments in the video that I did on Friday. I think the film's good, not great. I do recommend to everybody that I talk to go see the movie, but there are definitely some issues in there. And so it's going to be interesting to see how many of the people that went out the first weekend are going to go out the second weekend, and how good is that word of mouth. The jury's still out, but I will be keeping an eye on it, and we'll talk about it here on the channel as we, get that info. All right, let's talk about IgerCon that happened last week. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Bob Iger always has different calls or events with shareholders, and to amp them up, he will talk about different things that Disney's going to be doing with its properties like Star Wars or Marvel. Or in this case, he'll actually bring footage and show it to shareholders before the main members of the audience or casual fans get their next trailer for these movies. And then a lot of these shareholders just went and blabbed about it online anyway, so it's kind of a weird, almost marketing tactic at this point. But we now, because there's been some time passed, have the best look yet at what exactly happened in this footage. And so essentially this footage happens with all of the Avengers at the Avengers facility. This includes Nebula. I believe it includes Tony Stark, although I didn't get that clarified 100%, but I'm pretty sure it does. It includes Thor, it includes Rocket, and it includes Captain Marvel. And so this is obviously after something that happens in the Captain Marvel movie, which I'm gonna try not to spoil, but if you know what I'm talking about, then you know what I'm talking about. So basically the whole team is having a discussion about what to do with Thanos exactly. Now, this is where Rocket comes in and says that the biggest energy signature that was ever on Earth was during the snap, and there was a very similar energy signature after that on a different planet. Now, recently, one of the people that was at this thing leaked that there was indeed some comments made by Nebula where she would talk about Thanos and her when she was younger. She would actually ask Thanos where they would go after it was all done, and Thanos would basically talk about this garden that he had on this certain planet. Rhodey jokes about how Thanos had a retirement plan, but basically that's what's laid out. They know where Thanos is at, Nebula knows, Rocket knows, they know. And at that point, Captain Marvel says, let's go fight Thanos. At that point, Bruce Banner asks the group what will be different this time when we fight him. We did this before and we just lost. To which Captain Marvel replies, this time you'll have me. And then Rhodey chimes in and basically says yeah, that would have been super nice the first time. Where the heck have you been? To which Captain Marvel replies, I have been protecting planets that don't have their own whole group of Avengers. Thor gets up, gets into Captain Marvel's face in kind of an intimidating way. He summons Stormbreaker, but then he takes the edge off of it and says, I like this one. There's basically just a clash of ideas on whether or not they should go fight Thanos or formulate a plan. Then there's a cut in the footage and they're all on the Benatar. Rocket is in the pilot seat and Captain Marvel is in the co-pilot seat. Rocket asks everybody who has not been into space to raise their hand. Natasha, Captain America, and I believe War Machine all raise their hand. Rocket says, try not to puke in my ship, and then they warp out, and apparently there's this really cool shot of the stars in Captain America's eyes. Okay, so let's break down what this means. So first of all, I love the banter back and forth between all of these characters, especially when it comes to Captain Marvel. I think it's completely fair for the characters there to be like, who the heck are you? Where have you been? She's obviously very confident in her abilities and she wants to help defeat Thanos and reverse this, and they're all still kind of dealing with grief, and so this isn't going to be their best moment. They're not going to be at their best here, the most calm, the most rational. And so it's cool that they're going to be arguing. As I said before, guys, I'm super excited to see the Russo brothers' take on the Captain Marvel character, and mostly how these OG Avengers interact with Captain Marvel and set her up to carry on their legacy after Endgame. Now, this footage is apparently cut in a way to make it seem like while they're on that spaceship, they are actually just going after Thanos. That, that's the plan that they decided to do, and they're all just going after him. However, I do not think that will actually happen. I mean, sure, they know where he is at, but they also know how powerful he is, and they know that he's retired, so he's not going to interfere until he, knows that maybe his plan is being messed with and the stones are being taken away or copied or whatever the Avengers are doing. So they're going to formulate a different plan, and I believe them going into space is going to be to meet other alien races and form a group, a coalition of different people from throughout the universe that are super pissed off at the snap, and then they all go to fight Thanos on Titan 2. This would sort of mirror what happens in the Infinity Gauntlet comic book when Adam Warlock gets all of the heroes together and kind of projects them to go fight Thanos on his throne with Mistress Death there. They all go to fight him. It doesn't end up very well for them, but I think this kind of an event will be replicated in Endgame. But either way, it's really cool. I hope we get this footage in a trailer, especially because everybody on the internet's been talking about it. So it would be really cool if we just got this anyways, but either way, we know what happened. So just a little bit more flavor to tease us for what happens in 45 days, and that's Avengers Endgame. I know you're hyped. I'm hyped as well. So let me know what you think about this scene in the comment section below. All right, let's check the nerd card before we get out of here. I want to know, what is Carol Danvers' cat's name in the comic books? It is not Goose. What was the name of that cat in the comic books? Answer that question in the comment section below. A lot of sweet content coming to you for the rest of the week, including a couple cool Twitch streams, some fan chats with you guys, and of course the Nerdy News Rundown for the rest of the week. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.